What up, guys? This is SlipKnot's self-titled 1999 debut. This is probably the second SlipKnot album I've ever heard. This album is great, beginning to end. This is their early sound. They're really fast riffs and everything. This was like the deluxe that came out in 1999, I guess, because the 10th anniversary has got a few different tracks at the end. But you got 742617E plus 11. You got Sick, Eyeless, Wait and Bleed, Surfacing, Spit It Out, Tattered and Torn, Me Inside, Liberate, Prosthetics, No Life, Deluded, Only One, Scissors, Get This, Spit It Out, Hyper, Wait and Bleed, Terry Date, Interloper, Despise, and Surfacing Live. This is a great album. This is 1999, so this is really rebirth of metal at this time. This is probably the second album I've got into by them. This album is great. So let's take a look on the inside now. Here's the disc. This is cool artwork. Just a normal jewel case for this one. And this kind of gives you a picture of what the band is kind of going for with their image. But this is a great album. I love it. I've always loved it. So that's the SlipKnot self-titled. This is SlipKnot's Iowa, and this is their second album. People claim that this is the best SlipKnot album, but in my opinion, it's not their best to me. I mean, it's them finding their sound, I guess, is why. But here's the track listing. 515, People Equal Shit, Disaster Peace, My Plague, Everything Ends, The Heretic Anthem, Gently, Left Behind, The Shape, I Am Hated, Skin Ticket, No Abortion, Metabolic, and the self-titled track, Iowa. So, this album is cool. They've got different tones and sounds in it than their debut. I mean, I guess it's just because I haven't listened to it as much and gotten to the content. So let's go ahead and take a look at the artwork and everything here. Okay, there we go. This is the state of Iowa they've put on the disc. I don't really know what that is. But yeah, 2001 Iowa. Now we're getting to the SlipKnot that I grew up on. And this is Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses. This album has got the sound that I knew, the sound that I learned, and everything of SlipKnot. The songs on here are just, they're unique. This is the sound of SlipKnot that I grew up with. So let's get into the tracks. Prelude 3.0, Blister Exists, 3-0, Duality, Opium for the People, Circle, Welcome, Vermilion, Pulse of the Maggots, Before I Forget, Vermilion Part 2, The Nameless, The Virus of Life, and Danger Keep Away. This album is just, I really don't know how to describe it. It's different. It's really diverse from the first two albums. But yeah, take a look at the inside. That's some cool artwork. This is like people would call this their sellout album. This is not a sellout album. This album is unique in its own way. But I love it. It's cool. So yeah, Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses. So we've reached the year 2008 in the SlipKnot discography, and this is their fourth album, All Hope Is Gone. People think this album is very weak, that it's a sellout album, and it's a filler album. But in my opinion, it's one of my favorites. It's different, it's got a different tone to it, and it's actually got some pretty deep messages if you actually read through the lyrics while you're listening to this album. This album has 12 tracks. Execute, Gematria, The Killing Name, Sulfur, Psychosocial, Dead Memories, Vendetta, Butcher's Hook, Gehenna, This Cold Black, Wherein Lies Continue, Snuff, and the title track, All Hope Is Gone. I don't really have very much I can say about this album, is that it's very heavy. They have a darker feel on this album than on the others. They have always had a dark feeling, but this album has got some of the harder stuff, the more meaningful stuff of metal, just the guitar work and the drums. Even though there's not much sampling and stuff in this, and with, you know, the turntables and all that stuff they usually do, it's still a great album to me. So there it is. All Hope Is Gone. Now, in 2010, with the hiatus of SlipKnot, and also the unexpected passing of Paul Gray, we never knew if there was going to be another SlipKnot album. But 4 years later, the Gray Chapter. And I'm just going to say, this album impresses me. You have probably a bit of every album before all in one. I love this album. This album has brought back memories from the old albums. This album has produced new sounds for them to move forward with. So, I mean, even though there was a departure of Joey Jordison on drums, the new drummer, Jay Lindberg, he's got it. But let's get into the tracks. It's got 14 tracks. XIX, Sarcastrophe, AOV, The Devil and I, Kill Pop, Skeptic, Lech, Goodbye, Nomadic, The One That Kills Least, Custer, Be Prepared for Hell, The Negative One, and If Rain Is What You Want. I really can't say much more. This album is just great. I love this. This is a flashback from Iowa, if you can see that. That's just cool. This is probably my favorite SlipKnot album for many reasons. So there you go. SlipKnot, 0.5, The Gray Chapter. Alright, starting out with Lucky 7, we have the self-titled, and my 7 favorite tracks from this album, going from 7 to number 1. I'm not saying that any song on the album is bad, these are just the ones I listen to the most. Tattered and Torn, Eyeless, Get This, Surfacing, Wait and Bleed, Sick, and Spit It Out. Lucky 7 for Iowa. I Am Hated, Everything Ends, The Heretic Anthem, Skin Ticket, Disaster Piece, Left Behind, and People Equal Shit. Lucky 7 for Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses, Vermilion, Vermilion Part 2, The Virus of Life, Before I Forget, The Blister Exists, The Nameless, and Duality. The Lucky 7 for All Hope Is Gone, This Cold Black, Wherein Lies Continue, Dead Memories, Butcher's Hook, Sulfur, Snuff, and Psychosocial. The Lucky 7 for 0.5, The Gray Chapter, Goodbye, XIX, AOV, The Negative One, Kill Pop, The Devil and I, and Custer. Alright guys, so here's my countdown. This is based on which ones I listen to the least and which ones I listen to the most. Not saying that any of them are bad. It's just my point of view, and the ones that I listen to the least to the ones I listen to the most. So starting off, Iowa. I've already explained. I haven't listened to it as much here lately. It's still a great album. I just haven't revisited it in a while. Alright. Next is probably had to be Volume 3. Haven't listened to it in a while. It's still great. It's got some laggy moments in it though. But it's still great in my opinion. I love it. It's got their elements and sounds that they started to come up with when they started rising to fame. So yeah. Next is the self-titled. It's a great album. I haven't listened to it as much here lately either, but I mean, compared to the other two, yeah, I've listened to it a lot more. One of the best. It started their career, and it's a very hard. It's great from beginning to end. And next, I know people ain't gonna like this. All Hope Is Gone. This album is great to me. I love this album. This album, I play it, and I play it. It's got so many elements to it that people don't understand that are in the songs. If you read the lyrics while you listen to this album, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So yeah. And number 1, The Gray Chapter. This album was long awaited. This album was needed. It revived SlipKnot in their hiatus and the departing of Joey Jordison and the passing of Paul Gray. This is tribute to him. So yeah, there's my countdown. Hope you enjoyed.